cover. And if it's off, we'll leave it off. I think we need to wait on those papers. Joe's in. We're gonna do the code. That's what I thought. Yeah, I'd rather have Julie do it. That,
I'm not gonna say it because I'm not doing it. because I'm not in there. I don't know how many pages is in there. There's several pages in there.
You might tell them to wait to get the paperwork.
What we're holding on right now is the auditor. She's running copies of the CF ones. Okay, so you're ready to start.
Mark, it's already on.
Please stand for the pledge. Councilman Litton will lead us in the pledge, and Joe Trimble will lead us in the prayer. Correct? Thank you.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Prayer.
Dear God, we thank you so much for the opportunity to gather together today with our fellow community members, to share and care about this community so much, and the opportunity just to continue to help it grow and make the citizens' lives in Lawrence County better. We pray, first of all, for peace for our country and peace for the world as things continue to get a little scary for us, and we ask that you help keep us calm and keep us focused so that we can do the work you intended us to do. Please be with these council members today. Put your hand on them and help them with the decisions that need to be made for the best of for our community. We love you and we thank you so much. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Okay. Soon Martha is ready. First thing on the agenda is the approval of minutes. Got a motion from Scott?
Second.
Second from Jeff. Any discussion on the minutes? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Appointments. Judge Klein.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am here for Superior Court 1, and Superior Court 1's been using a special judge, an expensive special judge, $25 a day, if you might know her. They need to transfer $200 from equipment service contract to special judge to pay the claims and pay the special judge for a little while.
If this works out, you may be concerned about your salary.
I think you got him speechless.
That's the first two. But, well worth $25. So,
I make a motion.
Okay, got a motion from Janie.
No, second.
Phil seconds. Any questions? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Noes? Motion passed.
thank you very much.
Thank
Have a
you.
good evening. Stay
Thank
safe.
you.
Valerie.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening.
I'm here to get my grant from Duke Energy appropriated into the line item so I can pay the invoice for the weather radios. So those came in this week and we have a waiting list, so we will be glad to get those.
And that's the $5,500?
Yes,
And then we had talked about that last meeting.
yes,
Yeah, now that was actually a grant, correct?
yes, it's a grant
That's a
from
grant.
Duke Energy.
Yeah, from Duke Energy.
I would move that request be approved.
Got a first from Jeff,
Second.
second from Scott. Any questions? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Mitchell Knapp. I think I said that right. Is that right? Close.
County Council here to propose a budget line item transfer for the public health emergency preparedness grant, just to finish up that grant.
I can't hear you.
Sorry.
There it is.
Here for a budget transfer inside the public health emergency preparedness grant to move some line items and finish out the grant. We just didn't spend as much in contracts or some other services and stuff. So moving those over to other items. I have the list if you'd like to run through the list of transfers.
And
Which
this
one are
is
we, which one are we looking at? The 23387?
233.87.
Got three transfers. First one, $233.87 from contract services to other supply. So that's fund number 9122-39601 to 929-122, 21701. All three of these are moving to other supply. Do you want to approve one by one?
So we got three,
We have three all day.
one at a time.
You want to all together since they're the same purpose.
We'll take them all three at once. How's that? So this will be all three at once. It'll be the 233.87, 736.93, and the 259.81, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to
Julie
approve.
first,
Second.
Amy second. Any questions on this? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed, all three. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Chad, shoot.
Good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
Transfer, DOC required us to change to a 9,000 number on our grant line, our grant fund. We were previously at Fund 1194, and in my recent audit, they found that we had $7.23 left in 1194. And the way they do the grants now is however much you have left over at the end of the year, they deduct that from your grant 2 years following. So in 2026, our fund is going to be 9206, They're gonna deduct $7.23 from our grant. They want us to transfer the old money from that 1194 into 9206.
These are the same.
These are
You got two of the
I
same thing.
think they are, for some reason, I think one of them didn't have Chad's, his actual signature, it was just a computer. They're both the same amount.
Okay.
So there should be one.
should be one.
Yeah, one transfer.
One transfer.
Okay, that's what I was.
I didn't realize it was two.
Okay, this one is a transfer of $7.23. So entertain a motion.
So moved.
Jamie first,
Second.
Amy second. Any questions? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
And then I have a budget, this is going to be a new fund number, it's 9225. It's previously under our 1126. We're going to start rotating even in odd years, even though we start in July, so it's kind of hard to gauge how that works. But we previously received $57,226, but this go around, they gave us $17,750 more. So the total budget is $74,976. And that is to support our juvenile problem-solving court, and the new money is for our juvenile road crew.
Road crew.
Juvenile
Okay.
road crew. Pay for supervision of that.
So this is a new fund and a grant increase, correct?
New fund number.
New fund
We
number.
previously received $57,226 under 1126 fund
Yeah.
number. So change to a 9,000 number. DOC wants us to be in 9,000 numbers.
Entertain a motion.
So moved. Second. Well, I'll second. Yeah.
Jeff first, I think Julie second. Any questions on this? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
April Collins.
Good.
My check mark went too low.
Good evening. I'm here for the Juvenile Detention Alternatives Program, JDI. Our grant cycle ends June 30th, and we have $1,290 left in our parent project facilitator because we had to cancel a class. And we contacted DOC, and they have agreed to allow us to transfer this to a 300 number for public awareness. So through the radio, we can do some advertisement of the program because it's not only for probation families, it's also for the community awareness, so the community people can come also. This, as I said, this cycle does end. We get by next Friday. We do receive $64,000 next year, so I'll be here next month for a budget on that.
Does your year start in January?
It starts July 1st
Okay.
and ends June 30th. So it ends next Monday. And the new one starts Tuesday.
Okay.
Okay. Transfer of $1,290. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Julie first,
Second.
Phil second. Any questions? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry about skipping you.
Martha, do you think that microphone's on?
Okay. Now we're going to
He leaned forward, didn't he? But then he's too far away from it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, April.
Push the arm button. There we go. All right.
Maybe pull the mic down towards your face.
So, but you can hear me?
There, that's-
There we go. All right, so what I've just given you is, I'm here again today for the third time, hopefully it's a charm, to ask you to let me hire a full-time employee. Last year, with 6 full-time people, we wrote values timely. This year, we are running 6 to 8 weeks behind. We are supposed to roll real estate and personal property by July the 1st. We are going to be lucky probably to roll values by the end of August. I know that's going to throw Martha behind. It's probably going to throw you behind with budgets because you won't have values. But this is what one person has done as far as throwing my office behind on our workload. And I know that getting one person now, we're still going to be behind for this year. But I'm looking to the future on being able to timely get things done and get values rolled and get the work done in my office. The workload in my office is horrendous. I don't know if if you really understand what all my office does. I've tried to put down here, just from the beginning of the year till now, what we have tried to do and where we stand on what we need to have done by July the 1st. That's not going to happen. And one person in the office makes that big difference.
So you've got 6 full-time now?
No, I have 5 now. I had 6 in the past.
You have 5 full-time.
I have 5 full-time now. And that one person makes a lot of difference because I've got one person that's had to do her job, which what the person that I lost that went to work at Crane was doing all the sales disclosures, which is a definite, it's a job and a half. Because Erin that's doing it was helping Jessica do that job. Part of her job was helping Jessica do that job.
Have you pulled the one back in that's working from home?
She works at home. She works 8 hours a day, and she does work 8 hours a day. It doesn't matter that she's working from home. We can all work from home.
Listen, I'm not going to argue with you, but I've been asked a lot of questions on this, that if that person works from home, and actually I thought it was 2 good questions. How does that person answer the phone?
I've got 5 other people there answering the phone. She makes phone calls from home, and she does all my classified forest, she does all my splits, she does all my combinations, she does all my assigning new parcel numbers, she works with Kenna daily, she works with Cheryl Wrigley daily, she does all my land. She worked in an office away from the phones and the counters when she's here. She has her own office here, away from everybody.
And I know we crossed this last time, there's no policy or anything like that, but the questions keep coming up on this one working from home.
All my girls work from home at one time or another. If they have somebody coming in to do repairs so that they don't miss work because of this, of the shape we're in, they take work home and work while the repairman's there. They got a sick kid, they take work home because we have the ability to be able to connect to our computers and work from home. When I go see my son in North Carolina, I take my computer and I connect to work, and the whole time I'm in North Carolina, I'm working. Because there's that much work to do. We can work from home.
Okay. Well, I guess.
So if rather than somebody miss a day's work, if they can remote in and do their work, why is that a problem? Can you tell me why that's a problem?
Security issues?
No. I mean, Scott's had everything set up. It's been set up that way since COVID.
I just thought that it was done during COVID. I didn't know that anybody was working from home except your office after COVID.
We've always been able to do it. We've worked this way since COVID. Anytime anybody needs to be off, that they're not sick and can't work. When Cheryl takes her husband for chemo, she works while he's getting his chemo. So that she doesn't lose work, lose the time, and we get behind. We're all constantly working. I took work on last weekend. I come in at 7. Cheryl comes in at 7. Sometimes she comes in at 5 a.m. But we don't put it up. We don't clock in. I don't want that to make any difference with me, but Cheryl doesn't clock in. Erin came in last Saturday because she had to take 2 days off last week, but she came in Saturday. Did she clock in? No. She was behind. She came in Saturday and worked.
Okay.
Because she was behind.
Well, I guess the question would lie then is and it depends on how the council feels about we're facing a lot of issues right now. One with SB 1, with Baker Tilly, with budget cuts and the whole 9 yards. If this council feels, I'm going to call for a motion, and we'll see where it goes. But whatever that motion comes out, it stands.
But the question is, are you going to be able to do budgets if you don't have values to base budgets on? Because
We'll
it's-
have all people there except one.
But she works every day. She's doing her job.
And that's not, I don't think that's...
I don't understand what the problem is, whether she does it sitting in her office here or she does it
That's
sitting at
not the issue.
home.
I'm explaining...
So what's the issue?
I've explained it to you once. I'm going to call for a motion, and
Okay.
it stands.
Right?
Does anybody have any questions?
April, is there any interest in a part-time?
Our job is too complex for part-time people. You know, we have to take all that training and have to be certified and take all the continuing education every year. I have to be a level 3 to hold my job.
Right.
And I have 2 level 3s, which the one that works from home is a level 3. She's got her training and her certification. She's one of the level 3s in my office. She sits on my appeal board because she's a level 3. She takes 30 hours of continuing ed every 2 years to keep that level 3 certification. You know, I've notified the state also that we're behind, and that we're going to be 6 to 8 weeks before we can even consider rolling values. So the DLGF is well aware that we are behind.
Any other questions? Okay, I'll call for a motion to accept hiring of one full-time person
One full-time person.
in that office. Hearing no motion and vote.
Right.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Brian Sauer.
Well, I got a couple things. First one is request permission to hire. We have a young truck driver who just got a CDL, and took a job somewhere else. So, get more money. So what I'm trying to write up with the commissioners now is a policy that if we do all this work to get their CDL, they at least got to work for us for a couple of years or pay us some kind of money back. So that's in the works, because this has happened before from what I understand. So I just need to replace a truck driver on District 1.
And that is, so you want to replace a CDL driver, correct?
Well, if they're not CDL, we'll train them on site. We have on-site training capabilities.
And this comes out of NVH, which is, does not come out of the general fund?
It does not, sir.
Okay. All right. For permission to hire one driver.
One truck driver, correct.
Which does not come out of the general fund, which comes out of NVH. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Janie first.
Second.
Scott second. Any questions on this one? All in favor of the motions, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Thank you very much. My next thing I got is more information. So I went to the IHE Summer Conference, and it talked about HB 1461, which is a big thing about community crossings and how we're going to be funded in the future and all that stuff as far as motor vehicle highway fund and all that stuff. So what they've done is CCMG changed. It's broke down in 3 segments. So 50 million goes to Marion County if they can match it right off the bat. They don't have to compete for it or anything. They took $100 million for compete for application like traditional community crossings. However, they took $100 million direct distribution in our MVH restricted fund for counties with wheel tax. And then we're required, since we have a wheel tax, they go by lane miles, not center miles, which is important.
Not what?
Lane miles, they go by lane miles, not center miles. Back in the day, it was center miles. Now they've changed it to lane miles. So like Old 37, it has 4 lanes in some places, that counts. So That's the good thing.
That's a good thing.
They haven't said the requirements on any raise of the wheel tax, anything like that. However, they have added some requirements, so you got to treat it like it's community crossing. So all the paperwork we had to do before is the same paperwork we got to in, which is fine. We don't know how to do that. We have to now submit our asset management plan, which is all the roads we take care of, and it must be certified. So what they did there is now you have to be PACER certified to turn in your PACER ratings, and that's how we rate the roads on the condition. And you'll get a certification number, and you have to have that number on your asset management plan. At first, the third line there said you must be certified by an outside source. Well, that changed. Now my foreman can certify the roads, and I just go verify. So once we all get, which I already got my PACER rating, I have 2 that's PACER rating certified already. We just got to get the certification numbers, and we'll be good to go. So we're on top of that. Other requirements, there are changes to where we have to have a county ordinance created, whoever signs purchase orders. I don't know if that's just the highway or everybody, so if somebody signs a purchase order, like when we buy equipment stuff, that person has to be on the ordinance. I couldn't get an answer, like, is that office supplies, is that equipment, you know, didn't really have an answer for that one.
Are you the person that signs all the purchase orders?
Not all, no. My garage foreman does equipment. Jamie does a lot of purchase orders, so we'll just get it lined out of who does what.
I see.
I'll write it down, we'll figure it out.
Has the commissioners done that ordinance yet?
No, because this is all kind of comes in next year for fiscal year 20, what are we in?
26.
26. NDOT does it by July to July. So next summer in July 2026 fiscal year is when it kicks in, or 2027, however they do it. They do it July to July, which is way off from everybody else. So all this has to be in effect by next July, is the best way to say it. So we got a year to get all this sorted out. The bad thing is townships and cities, however they still get our direct distribution for wheel tax, they have to create their own wheel tax if they have a population over a certain amount. It'd be like Bedford and Mitchell.
The townships do?
If they have a certain population, and I put slideshows on the back, that same briefing I got, if their population, I think it's over 5,000, was it? They have to come up with their own wheel tax. So,
Wow.
so the good thing, the bad thing for the people who live there is they'll get double taxed. So they'll get the county wheel tax and the city wheel
That
tax.
doesn't,
So that's the big fight everybody was fighting, so.
Brian?
Yeah.
Not only if they want the direct rate?
That's if they want a direct rate or if they want to compete. So if they want to just compete for the 100 million, then they can just compete for it if they don't want to implement a wheel tax. So if they want a direct distribution from the state, they have to have a wheel tax.
well, the distribution to them would be for what?
Their lane miles.
Well, townships don't, they don't take
It's
care of their roads.
population, I know. So
So it probably won't
let's
be.
talk, Olynyk would be an example. They don't have over 5,000 people, so they ain't got to worry about it.
Okay,
You see what I'm saying? However, in the city of Bedford,
okay, so you're talking municipalities.
municipalities.
Townships don't take care of their roads, so.
But there's some townships in the state that do.
Right.
So that's where all that
We
came
used
about.
to many, many, many,
Yeah.
many years ago.
They're going to start, Jamie.
I think they're trying to start that, is what they're trying to start.
Townships are gonna start taking care of their own roads?
They, in that, I see stuff that Brian and Jamie shared, that certain townships have to set up a certain percentage of their funds, like they're unappropriated, for a bridge and road to help the county out, to take care of the ones in their district. How that's gonna work, don't know.
They haven't come out with how, they haven't come out with how it's gonna work yet, but that's what they're planning.
That's gonna get blowback, for sure.
Yes.
So there's some good to it. For the county, for example, we get direct distributed. We don't have to compete every year and fill out that nonsense. There is more, the bad is there are more paperwork required, more certifications, and they expect MVH to decline because of fuel cells, because of all the electrical cars, better efficient cars and all that stuff, and they expect the Cume Bridge just kind of plateau. They don't expect it to grow after so many years. So at some point, what you got in Cume Bridge is what you got. It won't flex. So that's what we got out of that meeting, and they're supposed to be coming around all the commissioners and council and give you guys the same brief. Now, if that happens or when it happens, we'll see how that goes, so. The good thing that I will say, Purdue OTAP, for all you Purdue goers here, they're making it easy for us. They're giving us all the products. They even got me on their ERCGIS, where it's an app. I go on the road, I'll say it's pacer rating something. That downloads how many lane miles I got, all for me. So I don't have to go out.
That's a free resource, I'm glad you're using it.
I don't have to go out and measure stuff and say, yep, this is 3 lanes and all that. It's an app right on my phone, shows me where I'm at. I throw in the pacer rating, how many lanes, done. So it'll give me my asset management at the end of the year. And they're gonna come down and train us on how to use it, because some of my guys aren't very savvy. My next thing I want to talk about is the Title VI and ADA requirements for Lawrence County. Federal funding, commissioners appointed me to ADA for the county, which is fine. I have some experience in that. Bottom line, if you don't have a plan, federal aid's going to go away. And I feel it's important to me, since I know a lot of people in the county get paid by grants and stuff like that. I mean, I got probably $4 million in federal aid right now in bridges alone that's floating through. So if I don't have our ADA plan updated and to standard, then they'll just pull your money. So they're just making it harder to get money is what they're doing. We have an ADA plan. It expires this year. And we paid like, who was it? DLZ, like $30,000.
How much?
$30,000 in 2015 to do an ADA plan. We don't need to pay anybody else again. I can take that information and the information we have, and I'll build us an ADA
I was
plan.
gonna say, doesn't the clerk's office have to know about ADA stuff?
Yeah, Title VI ADA. The cool thing is MDOT put a bunch of forms on their website that we can just take it and plug and play Lawrence County in there. And I've already did that. I'm just gonna get it signed and sent up so we're in compliance. And I will get an ADA plan updated, signed, all that stuff. The only changes they made to it is now there's always been annual training requirements. They're just gonna start enforcing that. So I'll probably have to send out to department heads, hey, this is your annual training. They just report back they're good. I make a note of that. I send it up to the state. Everybody's happy. So, and there has to be inspection on all the buildings the county owns.
Wow.
So like sidewalk, it's all sidewalks, ramps, stuff like that for wheelchairs. The buttons for the wheelchairs.
We should be in good shape for that.
Yeah, and I think that's 2015 is how all this happened at the courthouse, right? That's when all this changed out this way. I was still on guard at that point, but I'm back now. But a lot of the stuff's already been updated. I just have to look at that 2015 plan and sit down and go over with people that have been here for a while and say, yes, we did this, we did that, and I just submit that saying, hey, this stuff's been updated since 2015, and we'll stay in compliance. It's just the only thing I'm asking for is when I send out, hey, we gotta do this training, that department heads and everybody reports back, and that's any building that we occupy as a county, so this training's been done. So that's the only thing, and the inspections can be done like our maintenance people can say, hey, we looked at these sidewalks, they're still good, in good condition, they're this wide, this angle, all that stuff. And I've already downloaded a bunch of documents, that checklist and stuff that we can just go down and check it and say, yep, looks good.
I think we're in good shape with ADA.
We're probably in good shape. However, we just had 2 counties got told by state that they didn't have an ADA plan and they're not getting federally aided off this last federal call. So they're paying people $50,000 to run up their ADA plans. Now, we don't need to do that. We don't need to spend any more money on something that was already invented, in my opinion. So that's about all I have, and on the back is the briefing I got, the slideshow for HB 1461. If you guys want to read over it, if you guys got any questions, you all have my number. So that's all I have.
Some good stuff here, thank you.
And if I get more information, I'll distribute it out to you guys. So,
Appreciate that.
no problem. You all have a great night.
Thank you. Okay. Martha Turner.
Do I have yours, any chance?
Good evening. I am coming to you to ask for a rate increase, actually a scale increase for my payroll deputy. Most of you know Nicole, and since Nicole came on board, she has saved the county quite a bit of money in audits on the different deductions that we take. Not only has she saved the county money, she has saved the employees' money. She has corrected pay records so that employees are paid correctly. She came across a lot of mistakes. We were delinquent in making some of our payments. We are no longer delinquent in making any payments that concern PERF, federal, state taxes, any deductions that employees have. Everything is made on an on-time basis and very timely. Nicole is currently on a D scale. I would like to move her to an E scale. This would be an increase of $1,747 per year. We only have 6 months left of this year, so this year's impact would be $873.50. I would not need to come and ask for an additional for this money because I did not have a bookkeeper for 3 months. So I do have the funds in my appropriation, and then I would just, in my budget, put her in at a scale E for the 2026 year. I feel like Nicole deserves it. She's a very good employee. She's very diligent about paying attention to detail. If any, you can ask some of the office holders here, if there's a change, if there's a problem, she reaches out, she connects with them, and she says, this is wrong, this is right, this person is not getting this. She does do an excellent job. And I think that, it's very warranted to move this position up. So that is what I'm requesting tonight.
And the total on that was $1,747 per year.
Per year, and we have 6 months left. I would start her out at the first pay in July, and that would not be until the actual second pay in July, because the first pay in July encumbers June and not July. And so that would be $873.50 for this year.
And you have the money to...
I have the funds in my appropriation for 2025 to cover this amount.
So 2025 would be taken care of.
Yes, and then for the 2026 budget year, I would just budget her at a scale E.
Okay. So Martha wants to move one up from scale D to E. And you pretty well heard the rest of it. I'll entertain a motion on that. Hearing no motion, is done.
Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Okay. Now the fun starts. CF1s. Embry. Patrick Embry. And I didn't skip anybody. Thank you. So we didn't get anything back. Hold that thought, just for a second.
Okay, thank you.
Till we catch up. Thank you. Okay. Just got one.
Which one you give?
Just one. Okay. We're caught up. Sorry. Now you can go.
That's fine. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
So I'm excited to tell you that we're getting ready to start building the building. It's been a long time coming. We should have had the concrete done last week, but the weather, the guys are all behind because of the raining every other. But Stoll Steel out of Odin is going to build it for us. It's a metal frame building, steel building. And we've got another machine coming in for the shop. It should be here end of August, 1st of September. And planning on hopefully having the building done by the middle of August to the end of August, so. Basically, the rest of the business has kind of been the same as last year, so.
This abatement actually started in 2018?
I think so. We had one on the machine, though. One of them, we had one on a machine that we bought, UMC 750. And I'm not sure if that's over this year or, and then we never did get the building done because of the COVID and all that stuff. But so I don't know if this
But you've been getting a abatement.
On the machine, yeah.
It's, one thing's not making sense. On this one, it's got estimated start date of 1/15/2019.
We were wanting to start back then, but we didn't get it going, so,
Okay.
That's the one on the building.
yes.
So you've been getting an abatement since 2019?
On the
On-
machine, on the UMC.
Just on the machine?
Yeah.
You won't get to the business.
So there's nothing else to abate at this point? But you've lost those years.
This is, I personally need copies of these abatements. I mean, I don't know how I can, I understand if they're not in compliance, then we have the opportunity to not continue to approve the money, but we're having some difficulties, I think, finding copies of the abatement, so that would be very helpful for me to make decisions. Otherwise,
Are you talking on?
all of them,
All of them,
all of them.
What'd she say?
without the copies of the original abatements.
It's kind of hard to tell if we don't know when we granted the abatement, if they're compliant, unless we have copies. So I just think that we need to,
This one was supposed to hire, what, 6 more additional employees?
The plan was, but it didn't, just because of COVID and everything.
what are your
Where are you seeing?
employees now? How many?
We've got 6.
6,
Yeah.
okay.
But I'm,
Well, and you look for that to go up. How much do you?
Yeah, well, probably going to get at least one once we get everything settled in, but we should probably be hiring at least one more, so.
Okay.
So doesn't this give you a recap right on here?
Not what you would see off of the
Well,
original.
it says number of current employees, number of retained employees, number of additional employees.
we had salaries, the original application would be on the score sheet, you'd have a base salary, whether it met the county median level, whether all the benefits, there's several things on the original
Well, we're
ones.
gonna have to have them bring their original with them, I think.
Or we need to have it.
Then, and I'm kind of in the same direction because you guys got the paperwork right before the meeting. Yes.
Yeah. But there's not a deadline.
July 15th. And this divided up, Martha, in there, didn't you say is this the total on the abatements?
So he has one abatement.
Yeah, but not on the abatements that we've got out. This is all the ones that would be coming in for these abatements.
We have some coming next month also. Some of them were not able to make it.
What's the deadline?
Well, it says 25, pay 26.
Michelle, do you have a date on this?
Usually the paperwork is turned in to us by May 15th, I believe. See it.
I bring you a copy of that one. There should be 2, there should be one for real and one for personal.
All the copies that you gave me, I gave to Jeff Plyles so that he could compile information with what Chance Sizemore's office, Chance's former office had.
So I said there should be 2, there should be one for personal, one for real.
We need to find out when the deadline is.
You need me to go home? Do you need me to go home my copies?
Because I know what you're asking for the original.
Yeah, well, if we got to check that they've complied what they promised us they would do in order for us to give them, this abatement, that's that's what I'm saying. There's no way to evaluate that. To help, to see accountability. Am I thinking wrong on that?
That's how it should be, that's how it's supposed to
I
be.
guess there's some information here. I mean, you're still 5 employees, right?
6.
You're 6. They said they were going to go add 2. They had a completion date of March 15, 2019, and now he's saying they're starting on. So, I mean, that would be all part of things to consider that is on the original application that's come to,
Believe me, I didn't want to wait this long,
yeah.
so.
But, I mean, that's, now, because that abatement was first approved in 19, does the clock start then, or does it start when the assessment goes on the,
That's when the assessment was on,
even though the personal property, the machine went on?
because there's 2 different.
Right.
So where you do to be going forward from this? So what do you do to be going forward from this date?
So we can move forward from now.
So it's my understanding that your abatement on your machine is over, is that correct?
I think, so from what my accountant told me last year.
And because you have not started your building due to COVID on the property, the assessed value hasn't been made until it's built. So your abatement for the property has not started, correct?
That's what we need to know.
Okay, and that your original application, from what I'm gathering and gleaning, because I don't have what's in front of them, is you were gonna hire 2 people when you first came for these abatements. Is that correct?
Well,
So you went from 5 to 6.
yeah.
And you're thinking if you get this building and this machine, then you could go 1 more to satisfy the second person hire.
We should be able to add another one, yeah.
Okay, that's kind of where I'm thinking. Yeah, so even though you granted him an abatement for the building, it doesn't come into effect until it's built, she's assessed it, and then that's when that would start. So then you would look at his original application, he's already in compliance for 1 employee. If he comes back and adds that second employee, then he would be in compliance with that.
Do you think
property.
because it's 6 years old though now, there might be a different appetite on abatements that we should revisit altogether?
I mean, you've already granted that one, so technically, I guess he could come back and ask you to amend that abatement, or if he's in compliance, he's in compliance.
He's not in compliance.
'Cause
But,
it's a building
but the
yet.
fact that so many,
But you had all these things, you got a completion date of when that's not happened. When you do that, they have to give us a date of when.
Then you can deny it, but, I mean, it's my understanding, COVID is what maybe messed you up. I'm not
Yeah.
sure what your business is or how that goes, so you have to take that into consideration. So you can deny it. I mean, the abatement technically on the building hasn't started.
well, was this like a 10-year abatement? And if it was supposed to start in 19, technically, that many years have passed, 5 years, 6 years. Of the abatement time is already gone.
And you would have 4 years
So then,
left.
does he jump in at the 6-year mark and pay that, or is that what the
And
abatement?
the abatement was for 10 years, we got it in whatever, 19 or however long, it's for 10 years, it expires in 2020.
But that abatement goes on at 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%.
No,
And
the
so-
abatement won't start till she just said to it's on.
Right.
No, the abatement won't
It won't start till it's go on.
I know, I'm just saying, since it hasn't even started, and this is already 6 years in, where do you start?
This is for the real property, and there is no abatement on the real property until he builds the building. This is for his machine. So the real property has not even started,
I got that,
just the machine.
I got it.
Okay. I should
Yeah.
make sure we're all on the same page.
Yeah, I understand that, I just don't understand, since this is 6 years into a deal, where do you start, or do you start over?
Okay, so this one, the real property is not on here. Just the machinery that is what he was granted in 2019-01.
That's what I'm saying, but in 20,
He's having a machine.
He has machines running that are covered under this one.
right,
Okay, that's all he's got.
okay, that's all we're talking about today.
Yes, just the machines. Yes.
Then that's pretty clear.
Yeah, that's all, that's that.
So the requirement, I double checked the requirement, I was thinking on something else. As long as they turn these in to our office by May 15th, and we stamp it with our stamp, they're in compliance. And then you guys review them and sign off on them, and we hold these in our office.
But turning them in isn't the only thing that makes them in compliance.
Right, but just the first part of the compliance
Right.
is they have to be in our office by May 15th.
Right, okay.
And that's why we date stamp them with
And so
our
you
stamp.
had them.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, he was in compliance for that portion of it.
Right, I got you.
Okay.
But the property, the building, no.
The
Correct?
building is not being.
It's not even a
It's
basement.
It's not
even on the
even,
page.
this
Yeah,
is just
it's not
machinery.
This is machinery only for them.
Okay. Okay.
Are this 7 years on the machines, or are they 10?
10 years, I believe.
Okay.
Without the original, I don't see it. 7 years normal on tax, on your, yeah.
Well, you get later for whatever you want.
Well, I mean,
on the house.
yeah, but he's
Just
paying
remember all
all
the
at once.
paperwork I gave you,
Are you talking to Jeff right here?
Martha, I tried to do a little summary of some of the paperwork you had given me and some of the stuff I got from Chance. And I sent a fairly short email with that summary
I did.
to you and Jamie and Rick and Scott yesterday afternoon. But I can't remember the details of it.
I made a copy of them.
I know this one didn't score, I don't believe for a 10-year abatement when you've done it, but there isn't nowhere on here that tells how many years it was.
Which would be in the original paper.
I was told down here.
Jeff, do you have record of all the original ones, the abatement, the paperwork on that?
I haven't found very much looking through the Growth Council's files so far.
Okay.
I do have the things that the office holders here put together. It's pretty thick, a pretty comprehensive collection of paperwork. I didn't bring it all over here with me, Julie, but I could, I could give you all a briefing on it if you want me to after this sometime. What I've been able to find. There are definitely gaps in the information.
So you all have this email from Jeff?
Yes.
And if you go down here to the bottom, this is the one that talks about Embry Properties.
And I need to talk to you about the growth fees going to the council, too.
I'll tell you what, I'm about one step away from passing. I really don't want to do this, but I'm not sure we shouldn't put this off for a meeting till we have all the paperwork. The
It
paperwork.
was originally a 9-year abatement. Resolution 2019-01 passed in February 2019 for Emory Properties, provided a 9-year abatement for $450,000 in real property improvements, $923 in personal property, and the creation of 2 jobs.
It sure looks like the personal property is on there.
What was the deadline on this, Martha? When do we have to okay these?
We're okay, they had to be in here in my office by May 15th.
There's no deadline for us.
There's,
So if you,
I hate to do this, I'm going to pull these from the agenda, we can vote on it if you want, but I think that we don't have enough information, one. Two, I think we were just given this information tonight, and three, I don't think we got the information we want. And I'm not going to sit here and make a decision on this.
Since we have people here to present,
But you have the same problem all the way through the stack.
could they present what they're prepared to present? And then if we have questions, we could ask them later. I'm not saying we take action, but I just think out of respect for their time, they should get a chance to speak.
Take notes, is what you're saying?
And some of them probably have.
Okay, then we will proceed on. I will always stay on the agenda. We will proceed on, but I don't think there will be any votes on any of these tonight. Well, you're either going to have to accept or deny.
You want?
What action do we take on these?
We table this, because we don't have a deadline to turn in for Martha, we can just
Yeah,
table
that's
this.
what I'm saying. Or I'll call for a motion.
Just call for a table, call for a motion to table his, let the next person make their presentation, get enough information, you can vote on it, if not, you'll table that one.
But
But you-
what's the action, just accept or not accept?
Yes.
Accept or decline.
Either accept or.
Accept or decline. That's what I'm saying, right, but we'll have to vote on every one of these. And I'm not comfortable voting.
We have to be within 45 days of receiving the application, if you're going to deny it.
July would be too late.
So you'd have to do another special meeting if you want to do that.
I'll make the motion to table this one. And we'll proceed on.
Well, you're going to have a special meeting.
We'll have to have a special meeting.
All right, so you have your original, because it seems like we can't find our original.
Let us, April has all of this. April has.
So now we know where they are
She gave me copies of everything that I passed on to Jeff.
from the original.
I've got copies of every one of these.
And who have you given that to?
I gave the information to
So it's just, we're late to the game. Okay.
No
Okay.
one told me you wanted all this information. I was trying to get just a snapshot to you all to
Okay,
see
gotcha.
what the overview on each one
Well,
was.
it's really, I mean, it's true. We need to be able to see what the original said.
Okay. We have a motion on the table to table this one. I made it. Do I have a second?
To just table this one,
Table this one.
and you're going to do that with
We'll
everyone?
proceed on, we'll proceed. I want to table this one to start with.
Could we have April, if you're willing to run up and get Mr. Embry's application and get it to him while everybody else is, like, if you can run with some others and get his copy, if the others have their stuff, we can run with them, he can come back at the end. It's just across the hall. I mean, you could
The
table
only thing
it.
bad is no one's had a chance to look at anything. We didn't.
Do what?
Nobody's seen anything. Nobody's seen any of this
Well, it would be
paperwork.
that,
One-page ordinances, resolutions or one-page resolutions.
So you don't have the original applications and score sheets.
they have the original, though, what the original terms are.
I can come back if you want me to.
I still have a motion on the table. Second by Scott, to table this one and proceed on with the rest of them. I have a first and second. Any questions? Which will lead to a special meeting. All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Okay. We have one no, motion passed. You are tabled. We will have a special meeting before the deadline date, where we've got more paperwork and get you back in there.
So they contact me via email, or how do they, I mean, that's
Martha.
Martha will.
Send a letter.
Martha.
Okay.
I'll get your contact information. I'm sure Michelle already has it, or it's right here. We'll let you know the date.
I can email you tomorrow, I think. I still got that
Okay.
paperwork you guys mailed to me,
Okay.
so. Am I good then?
You're good, thank you. I'm sorry.
You're dismissed.
Okay. Next page. Okay, next one is PRD.
Craig?
Do you want me to start with D&M or PRD?
Yeah.
Which one?
Which one?
Is that the one that was not?
We just have,
You added D&M.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do both, D&M and PRD. Which one do you want me to start with?
Whichever one you want to start with.
Okay, let's start with D&M.
Hold that thought this way. That falls.
Hang on.
It's not, don't do
No, I'm sorry. Start with PRD.
Start with PRD?
If you go
Okay.
with PRD, it'll be right down our stack.
Okay. With PRD, we have 4 abatements, all for personal property. Abatement 2014-10 was for 10 injection molding presses plus hoppers and other miscellaneous equipment to go with it, for a total of $3,035,208. This is the last year for that abatement. We have abatement 2016-08, which was also for 8 injection molding machines and associated equipment, was for $1,175,404. Next year would be the last year for that abatement. Both of those were 10-year abatements. We have 2017-12, which was for 14 injection molding machines and associated equipment for a total of $747,990, and there are 4 more years left on that abatement, which was also a 10-year abatement. And the final abatement was 2019-04, which was for new injection molding machines and equipment, for a total of $1,311,456, and it has 6 more years left on that abatement, which is also a 10-year abatement. And they are currently at 130 employees with a payroll of just under $5.9 million.
Can you tell us how many employees you were supposed to add through?
911, it's on here.
Yeah, it's on
There's 12 on,
Got it.
where is it?
2014-10, there were,
I see it.
okay.
Thank you.
as far as you know, that was all filled.
Yep. There were a couple years during COVID, they were down a little bit, but they're come back. The biggest problem is, with everybody's got, is finding people right now.
This one's about the equipment that hired the people. This one, they bought the equipment on time, they hired the people. I mean, they.
That's what I'm looking
No
at.
problem with this one.
I don't see,
Filled their.
I don't see a problem with this one, and they're actually on time.
So
I'm going to accept these 4 and find them in compliance.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor by Jeff
Second.
to accept
You
all
have
4,
questions?
correct?
You do have.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, so looking at this just real quick, you've added 44 jobs total?
Not a total of 44, I can't remember the exact amount, but I think we're about 30, 34.
With the intent
Yeah.
of still
Yeah.
hiring an additional 14?
Additional as needed, and if people can find people to work, yes.
Okay,
Good.
good question.
Okay, I've got a motion on the floor by Jeff to accept all 4. We can do, okay, to accept all 4 of these from PRD. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Janie, second, I think.
I did originally.
Okay. Okay, any questions? More questions, Phil? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. All right, four.
Thank you.
Now,
Now we'll go to D&M.
D&M.
Okay. With D&M, we have 4 abatements. 3 of them are real estate and 1 is for personal property. The first is 2016-09, which was for a CNC machine for a total of $783,642. And I apologize, I don't really recall how much time is left on that abatement. And the second one we have is 2016-10, which was for a climate-controlled and vibration room with separate heating and cooling system for a total of $100,000. In 2016-07 was for an 18,000 square foot addition to the PRD building, that D&M owns that building, and it was for $1,750,000. And the final one is for 2014-11, which was for a 12,000 square foot addition to the manufacturing facility at PRD for $1,700,000. And on D&M, they are currently at 22 employees with a payroll of a little over $1,300,000.
So it looks like most of these are getting ready to drop, correct?
Within the next couple, 3 years, I think they'll all be off, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the oldest one I seen, I think, was 17.
Yeah, the 1609, I think this is the last year for it.
Completion date of 8/16.
And then, so, yeah.
Yeah, they're getting ready to drop.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions on D&M? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to accept.
So moved.
Janie first.
Second.
Jeff second. Any questions? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I didn't mention Mark Murphy from PRD.
Okay, PRD, we got Orange County, RMC. Charlie?
Hey, at least I'm right on the agenda this year. It's been Matt Deaton previously. All right. I'm not as prepared. I don't have all my abatement numbers and all that. Mine's just been for the fiber construction through Lawrence County. In the past, we've had about $3.3 million in fiber construction throughout the county. This year, we've invested another $1 million in the county with some expansion over Bryantsville, Robertsville Road, Mitchell High School, and south part of Mitchell City. The current serve is 1,000, and that number's up again from 130 from last year. We previously served 865 when I came here the year before, and we're at 1,000 this year now. Our original project still stands as complete. We are just adding to that now. Lawrenceport is still on the agenda to build. There'll be an additional about 50 homes there. Our current projects that we're building now, we're adding an additional 500 homes to be passed, and our expansion over 1 to 2 year will encompass a non-funded area around Mitchell. Current employees are 63. I double-checked, 3 of those are from Lawrence County, and as well as the board of director, Randy Roberts. Our annual salary is about $5 million, and since Fiber's inception, we've gained 43 employees, so we've tripled.
start date on this one?
Don't have completion.
Doesn't have a start or completion?
We started in 2019. We were probably done in 2021, actually, with the Lawrence County portion.
So do you have a proposed map of what those miles were going to be and where you put that fiber?
Yeah, I mean, I could provide that.
That's something you want to look at to see where what the actual deal was on the application.
Yeah. The current really, by township, I can break them down by township, like in the past, 1.1 million in Bono, 1.7 in Marion, and $500,000 in Spice Valley. At that time, the original build was over 500,000 feet at 105 miles.
The original abatement in this letter is for $5 million. But you had that much?
It's hard for me to decide when I know.
I think we came in under budget and under time constraint as well, yeah. So completion was supposed to be 2023, and we finished in 2021, so I think that probably has a lot to do with it.
I guess that's why I'm a little confused on this, because these papers are different. You don't have, on the rest of them that we're looking at, you got an estimated start date and completion date and when it was started and the whole 9 yards. Mine doesn't.
Those are the papers they turned in.
So you, how much time's left on this one? We don't have a start or a completion?
I think it was a 10-year originally.
10-year? But I don't see it.
By the letter I got, it was a, Orange County received abatement for installation of equipment in Spice Valley, Marion, and Bono townships. It appears Orange County RMC build-out was around $5 million. It doesn't say how many years it was. No, I don't know that.
I'm sure I can produce a copy of that too. I mean,
I got it on Jackson.
yeah.
Could you do it tonight?
I can make a phone call.
Okay, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to make a motion to table this one until we have a special meeting and more information, because this paperwork is different, and we don't have the start date, complete date, and we don't even know when it's going to end.
Yeah.
So I'm not comfortable with this. So I've got a motion on the floor to table this till the next special meeting. And actually, it would be all three of yours. Do I have a second?
Second.
Julie, second. Any questions? All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No. Want to be consistent?
Your no? James, no. Okay, it's tabled.
Okay.
And please, we set the next date, which will be in time,
Friday, June 30th at 4:30.
Friday, June 30th at 4:30. We'll do the next one.
Okay.
I'm sorry, June 27th.
June 27th, has to be after 9 o'clock.
Why is there not consistency between all of these CF balloons?
Some of those is the utility.
I'm sorry.
This is utility. There's different ones for utility, personal property versus real property. Depending on what the abatement was granted for, depends on what the
June 27th.
June 27th.
I'm comparing it to Jackson County, to the Orange County, and they're different forms.
There's differences. No.
Yeah, but see, that's what I was saying on these. You have no start date, you have no end date, you have nothing. Okay. You're tabled until, what'd you say, Martha?
Friday, June 27th at 4:30.
Friday, June
Today?
7th at 4:30.
Friday night,
This
just like you
Friday.
want to do on Friday night.
Yeah. Okay. And then you've got, how about, or Jackson County, you got Jackson County?
I have that.
You got Jackson County?
Here.
How many you got? So you got mine.
Three.
You got 3, okay. Okay, Jackson County, how many do you have?
How many what?
How many abatements have you got?
We just have the one abatement. It's for the 3 townships of Guthrie, Pleasant Run, and Shawswick. So there's a report for each township.
Well, I'm sharing paper, I don't have this.
Shawswick, Guthrie, and
Pleasant Run.
Pleasant Run. That's the 3 townships.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
So this is my 3rd year. Martin McKinney, Jackson County RMC CEO. It's my 3rd year of doing the annual reporting requirement here at Lawrence County. The abated amount where we're at today is right at $7.22 million. We have 2,375 electric accounts in those 3 townships, and 1,535 of those accounts have our fiber optic broadband. So 64.6% of the electric accounts in our service territory have that. We have not expanded into other areas. We've stayed within our electric service territory for the entire time. We have picked up a few homes that are just across the road or something like that, but no major expansions or variances from what the original ask was for on the abatement. And I believe it was October of 2018 is when that abatement was approved. They had 9.1 miles in mainline fiber that we constructed, and then we had 239.1 miles of fiber backbone, not mainline fiber to the home, and around those 3 townships.
So you got a total of 240, 239?
Yeah, approximately 240 miles. And we calculate those numbers per township, so we can get you the total dollar values, go through the DGLF, go through the processes made into the county.
Okay. Any questions on this one?
So
Be happy to answer any questions you might have on the project.
That's what
the initial abatement was in what year, 2018?
It was October 23rd, 2018 was when it was signed and approved.
Okay, and you completed it by 21?
Correct. Yeah, October 23rd, 2018.
That's what I see on this one. Okay. Any questions on this? I didn't see nothing on this one. Okay. I'll entertain a motion to accept all 3 of these.
So
From
moved.
Jackson County. First from Janie, second. Scott, seconds. Any questions? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Wow, Janie. Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Stay consistent.
You can have them.
Council, can I ask a question?
Yes.
What information did he provide that I did not?
That, we've got a start date on this one, and that's what I was saying there a minute ago. You got a start date on this one here.
Some of the stuff is just left empty on the.
It's left empty on yours.
So it's the form itself?
That's part of it, yeah.
Yeah, it's the form itself. That's what we're not seeing.
Thank you.
Did you guys see it? I don't have it. So if we get that other paperwork in, that will fill in the blanks for us. Okay. You don't want these back. Tracy, how do you want these back? Okay.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
All right, so Tracy Crowther representing Heidelberg Materials. We constructed the new facility in Mitchell, Indiana. My understanding of the tax abatement was that we would hire at least an employment level up to 161 employees. We have been well over that since the plant was constructed. Actually, during the part of the construction, we were up to that employment level. We are roughly 168 employees today at the plant.
I don't suppose you know how many are from Lawrence County, do you? Just asking.
I do not. The majority of our employees are in Lawrence County, but I do not know the number.
So you were at about 120 prior to this? Employee staff-wise, it was about 120?
So I was looking for what files I had as I was sitting over there on the bench. And I couldn't find the Lawrence County one, but there's an Indiana Economic Development Corporation agreement that we have. And at that time, in 2019, we were at 109 employees. So that with our application to Lawrence County, it could be different, but that was the Indiana Economic Development form that I was able to find. And that was in 2019.
That would put them, I mean, if that's where they were employee-wise, that's where they're at now, and that's what they're projecting to hire, that's everything in line.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're above the head count that we anticipated when we were in this discussion. I think the investment was actually larger than we thought it was going to be in 2019 when all of this was the initial agreement.
Well, it just makes it easier for us to what you presented at the time of the application and this stuff being filled in, makes it easier for everybody to see you're fulfilling your commitment, where some of these we don't have much information at all.
Yes.
So it makes it a little harder.
Yeah, the total investment was over $700 million at the site. I think the things I've seen is 600 and something is what was indicated on the application.
Because I think you've exceeded well of what you set out to do, what I'm seeing here.
Yes, and really driven by the timing of the construction and the scope of the size of the plant that was built, and as actually the original design of the plant grew as we actually got into determining what was going to be there. Initially, there was not a plan to have any package operation at the plant. That was done in speed at Louisville, and then as the plant started construction, it made sense to move that to Mitchell also, and so we installed a packing operation, and that was, we actually had to amend our environmental permit during the construction to be able to move that business here to Lawrence County also.
Any questions for Tracy? I think they've exceeded what they set out to do, but from what I'm seeing. And again, this is a different one, but it's a different question for me and Martha. On that one, this has a lot more information on it. With two different paperworks. Did they not use the same form on these?
They did use the same form, it's what the company provides.
Okay, that's the reason the information was left on the other one. Okay, sorry. Okay, any questions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
How much of this equipment that was originally proposed has since been taken out of use?
Nothing. So, of the plant that we constructed, and I'm not sure if I heard the question right, but of the plant that we constructed, 100% of it continues to be operational.
Did you mean the previous plan? Did you mean the previous plan? What was that?
Okay, if there's more questions, I'll entertain a motion to accept.
So moved.
To Janie first.
Second.
Julie second. Any questions? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Both passed, Tracy.
Thank you.
Tracy, before you leave, you may not want to comment on this. What's the status of the carbon capture project?
I can absolutely comment. It is, there's certainly been talk about further investment at the site. It's been probably a month ago, it could have been 3 weeks ago, we received a letter from the DOE that said that the $500 million grant that was awarded was part of a group of grants that the DOE had inked between the election day and inauguration day, and all of the, like $3 billion worth of grants from the DOE were withdrawn. There is an appeal process. It's actually a pretty quick appeal process that we have started and have been in talks with the DOE over that, but at this point, the grant has been withdrawn. We are appealing that decision, but just working through that process is probably going to be 90 days at least, if things happen as they're spelled out in the appeal process. So that's left unknown at this point. Without that federal grant, the likelihood of that project being economically viable is pretty unlikely. Being with the amount of investment at the site, there continues to be to have autonomous trucks operating in our quarry.
Is there a safety issue?
No, it is.
Efficiency?
It does certainly helps with efficiency, and we operate 2 shifts, and so it helps me become more efficient where I'm loading with an operator and then automatically transporting back and forth to the crusher, and that will allow us to reposition those people more in the operating facility of the cement manufacturing.
Interesting.
So is this all Heidelberg's investment on all the corridor like you've lost? I mean, if you don't go forward with that with all your investment?
Well, that's a really good question. So there was 3 other grants from the Department of Energy that funded the study, and those continue to be active. One of them is just near complete. I think within the next 2 weeks, we have a meeting in Washington, D.C. with the DOE to present the findings of the first grant, and it was like an 80-20 share between the DOE. They spent 80% of the funds, and we spent 20% of the funds. There is a Carbon Safe grant, which is where the drilling took place in our quarry to explore the viability of storing CO2 in the ground there in the Mitchell area. That grant is probably 75% spent. We're waiting on approval for a modification to that so we can finish up the injection testing on the well before it's capped and closed. And then there is a 3rd grant that we have not started spending on, but we don't anticipate a problem with that one moving forward, and that's the combined feed study where you take the plant as well as the carbon capture and compression and storage and put all that together in a business package that then we would be able to go for, present it to our board in Germany for funding. So that work at this point will continue ongoing. There hasn't been any withdrawal of those grants, and we'll work to finish that up. We'll have the information, the study that's needed, so if the larger project then becomes viable, we would be ready to go at that point.
Thank you.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Moving on, then we've got items for consideration, which is amend the salary ordinance. Again, I think what that was. That was,
That's every meeting. I think that's every meeting.
yeah, that was the one we removed the position on Sam, prosecutor's office.
The position on the prosecutor's office, the receptionist position that he gave up in lieu of moving her to the legal secretary, he would not need that. So that position was eliminated.
Yes.
And the other one was with the voter registration, that that deputy moved to a wage scale C from wage scale B, and she is cross-trained with the clerk's office. You voted on that on 2/02/25/2025, and it became effective on 5/1/2025. So we want to make sure that language is in there.
Yes. Okay. Any questions on that one?
I move the new salary ordinance be approved.
I got a first from Jeff,
Second.
second from Amy. Any further questions? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Noes? Motion passed. This one is changed. Okay, and then we've got another one. Actually, that's on here too. Anyway, the yearly, I know it's been brought up multiple times on these yearly salary increments. And it's been tossed whether to keep them or get away from them, or whether we want to keep them, or we want to keep doing it. I guess what I'm asking is, do we want to vote on removing these salary increments?
I make a motion to,
Janie has made,
to do away with the salary increments.
Second.
I got a first, and this will begin in 26, correct? Is that what you want to do? Not this year, but 26? Okay. I have a motion and a second to remove this increments beginning January 1 of 2026. Any questions? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. The increments are removed, Martha, effective January 1, 2026. Okay. Prosecutor Sam Art, not here. Sheriff Greg Day.
The enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Guys always put me towards the end when you're tired.
Yeah.
All right, just real quick, the jail population, today we had 74 inmates, 62 males, 12 females, holding 11 for DOC, holding 2 for parole, and then we have 2 level 6 felons that were sentenced locally. And then just a quick update, today we had our annual jail inspection from the Department of Corrections, the inspector that comes down every year. He was here for 2.5, 3 hours, and unless he documents something that he did not tell us about, there were no violations, nothing that he found that we needed to improve on at the jail. And really, the last thing he said was, guys, keep up the great work. It's really, the changes have been phenomenal over there. So that was good news as far as that goes. So that brings us to the hiring request tonight. And I'll, if you'll each take one of these. I think sometimes there's been a little bit of misunderstanding, or maybe I don't convey my points as evident. If you should take one of those. So I wanted to talk a little bit tonight on the hiring request and what I'll be asking for. As you see, the first handout, 2 merit deputy spots. We had one that went to Bloomington PD, who I don't know if you saw any recent advertisements, but they're starting out at about $87,000. So we had one go up there, and then we had one retire after 33 years of service to the department. And then I'm going to be asking for 3 jail officers. I actually have 5 openings in the jail dating back some time. You approved one last time. We're in the hiring process for that. And then I'm leaving one unfilled and
ever asking. In fact, I'll go into that a little bit more here in just a second. And then, so tonight I'm asking to fill 3 spots. One is a jail officer who, he has 1 more week left to work. He's taking another job that's paying about $27 an hour, so next week's his last week to work. So I'd like to go ahead and get approval so I can start working on that hiring process. One would replace a female officer. She wasn't originally from around here, and she split up with her significant other and went back to where she's from. That's about the 3rd time that's happened in the last year to us. So we have her spot. And then we have one that, a long-time employee, 20-plus years of the Sheriff's Department, having really serious health issues, and he's retiring after doing years at court security in the jail and different things. So those are where the 3 openings come from. Now, as we go through this hiring request sheet that I gave you, that first one, I want to just highlight a few things so kind of there's no confusion. Number 1, I'm not asking, I will still have a transport spot that I'm not asking to fill. I still have a jail spot that I'm not asking to fill. And both of those spots I'm not going to put in next year's budget. So that's not just this year not filling, but I'm going to eliminate those from next year's budget, which is a savings of about $72,000 a piece for that out of next year's budget. And then other budget considerations, that next little heading there will be a savings in next year's budget. One of our merit spots, waiting on board approval and commissioner approval, but it's been, the contract MOU's been drafted and it's being reviewed by both sides. But one merit spot, NLCS is going to pay $75,000 of the total salary and benefits of that deputy. So basically all but somewhere around $12,000 NLCS is going to cover to be a school resource officer. So that will also be money that's, it will show in next year's budget, but it's not really going to be come out of the budget because we will get that money each quarter. NLCS pays their share of that back. So we'll get $75,000 of salary and benefits of that person back. So those are 3 spots that I'm not asking, or that is going to be savings moving forward even into next year's budget. And that next form, when we get to it, I'll break that down a little bit so there's no confusion there. But as we talk about these hiring requests, if you look at that points to consider, even if we were fully staffed, to include the transport spot, the jail spot, the things I'm voluntarily offering to eliminate from the budget going forward, even if we had all of those filled, we would still have the same manpower as we did 7 or 8 years ago. Nothing has increased. No positions have been added. So kind of keep that in mind. Even fully staffed with the ones I'm offering to get rid of, we would be 7 years ago manpower. We have these 2 merit deputy spots that I'm asking to fill now tonight. We still have the one on military leave and will be for the rest of the year. We won't be paying his salary. We have 2 in the academy right now. We just had 1 new hire that you approved start, and he's currently training. He will start the academy in September, so it'll be the end of the year before he gets out in December. So then he'll be able to start working and add to our manpower. So really, and then we have another spot that you approved last time that has had a conditional offer of employment pending passing his perf and psych and polygraph and all that, which will happen sometime in July. So when you look at all that, it means that we're really operating 7 deputies short. So basically, 25% of our manpower short, if fully staffed, and that was, again, manpower from 7 years ago. And I told you way back in January that this was going to happen. It takes a long time for us to get somebody through the hiring process and to get all this going. And I said if we didn't approve these as we went along, this was the spot we were gonna be in. So, you know, as a kind of a side effect of all this, when we don't have approval to hire, we've actually lost out on a couple of applicants that had the police academy training and would have really cut down our amount of training, but they took other jobs because they didn't want to wait around until we got permission to hire them. Right now, we also have 2 deputies that are gone for their 2-week guard duty. So really, for 2 weeks here, we're operating 9 people short. So 33% of our manpower down. Myself, the command staff, I don't remember the last time I worked less than 13 or 14 hours in a day. We're covering calls, working weekends, trying to do as much as we can to cover all this stuff. But obviously, that's not sustainable. I mean, we can't keep doing that. And you know, I don't know, public meeting, probably shouldn't say this, but July 1st, I have my surgery. And so I'm going to be out a few weeks where I'm not able to take calls. So that's going to eliminate somebody else that's able to help take calls while we're shorthanded. A few weeks I'll be back to office duties, but it'll probably be, you know, 7 or 8 weeks before I can help start taking calls again. So we've got that. Meanwhile, while operating, you know, with the 7 short that we're operating as of right now, that's manpower from 15 to 20 years ago. That's what we're working with right now. And we're doing that with 2025 demands and calls for service. Our calls for service go up every year. They increased by 11% last year. Just for example, so far in June, we've had 934 calls for service. So you can see, I mean, we're going to increase again for the year. You know, we're on pace to probably have over 12,000 calls for service, so another 10% probably increase in calls this year. On top of that, the calls are more dangerous. We have more mental health calls. We obviously have the state and federal requirements and mandates that keep going up every single year. They don't lighten up on us. Liability is through the roof. We just continue every year. We have to do more and more, and it's very unsafe. We're running a lot of shifts, especially at night, and then also on days a lot of times where we only have 2 officers trying to cover the entire county. And that's kind of where our, you know, me covering calls and things like that kind of come in at. But think about how dangerous that is to just have 2 officers covering the entire county. Think about how long people kind of have to wait for service when they want something or they need us. You know, one call can tie up 2 officers for hours, depending on what it is. So we kind of, you know, a lot of times we have to put the needs of our citizens on a hold because we just don't have enough people to go take every single call. So think about that like if your house is being broken into, or you've got a family member that's got an emergency that needs the police, or you're in a crash somewhere and you need an officer. I mean, some people are just having to wait right now.
So you don't triage, I mean, you can't, like if somebody's gone and it's lifting somebody up to get out of the floor, and you get a call. We don't go to those calls, and you get a call.
Those aren't the kind of calls we go to, Janie. That's volunteer fire department, that's EMS calls. Okay. I'm talking police calls, crashes, thefts, burglaries, mental health things.
Somebody has a more urgent need.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we do that, but if we have 2 officers working and we have a personal injury crash on State Road 37, and we're trying to direct traffic, we're trying to do the crash report, we have to go to hospitals to get blood draws by state law on drivers.
Pitch in when it's on 37?
I'm going to tread lightly with what I say here because I do love the state police, but state police has they have manpower problems too, and I would say 8 out of 10 times when we call the state police, they don't have anybody to send us, or they will tell us the closest unit is in Martinsville or north of Bloomington. They don't just have a bunch of people down here all the time. You know, and then on top of that, I didn't even have this in here as notes, but that made me think of it. We also have, you know, we back up Mitchell when they only might have a couple officers working if they have something major, but then Oolitic, we cover Oolitic a lot. You know, they have 2 full-time officers, but 2 full-time officers can't cover 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So, you know, probably 40% of the time, we are the people that respond to anything in Oolitic because they don't have anybody working. So really what I'm just trying to say is, like, we keep doing more and more, but we're having to do it with less. And that puts our officers' safety at a huge risk. It cuts services, safety, and security to our citizens. You know, people want to feel safe and know that they have police officers to respond when needed. They want us to have enough officers to give our all to investigation. You know, if you get broke into, you want us to have the manpower to not only just go take that call, but you also want us to, I think, probably to investigate it and follow up on it and try to solve it and get your stuff back and things like that. So, I mean, like going to a call is not just going and being done in 30 minutes. Sometimes it's days worth of work toward it. And you know, I think Lawrence County is a county that supports law and order. I feel like, you know, we get lots of feedback on what we do and the effort we put in, and I think I've done exactly what I campaigned on 3 years ago. 90% of our citizens voted for. You know, that's professionalism, quality, accountability, proactive policing, reduced crime, school safety, better services not only on the road but also in the jail, the programs we put in there. So I mean, I feel like we're doing what the citizens asked us to do, but when we keep operating this short, it makes it harder and harder to do that. So just as we go forward here and talk about this, I want you to kind of keep those things in mind, because every decision has has consequences. So if you look at the budget savings sheet that I gave you, the second sheet that I gave you, because I think oftentimes, you know, I hear what some people say to others, so I know we're kind of an easy target because we have a big budget. But I don't think we oftentimes get we don't get the benefit, I don't think, for how conservative I have been and what we have actually done to save money for the county. So I've put this together to actually spell this out. That first section is 2026 budget personnel cuts. These are positions, and this is the amount of money that I'm going to cut out of the budget for personnel next year. I'm not asking to fill them this year, and I'm saying I'm not asking for them in the budget next year. That's the transport position. Salary and benefits at $72,000. One jail officer position. Salary and benefits, $72,000, and then the school resource officer for NLCS, where they're going to pay $75,000 of that. So right there is, I am voluntarily, not being told I have to do it, voluntarily, and I know there was a comment before that elected officials didn't take their opportunity to come up with their own stuff when we had those individual meetings, but I did. I provided you guys with my plan and ways that I could help. And this is it. That's $219,543.04 that I'm cutting from personnel cost next year's budget. That's almost $250,000 straight from the general fund. And that's even if you approve every other spot that I'm asking and that has been allocated to me. On top of that, if you look at the end of 2024, I returned $180,000, just over $180,000 to the general fund. I returned just over $70,000, $71,000 to LIT, to the misdemeanor fund, to the sex and violent offender registry fund, accident investigation fund. Those, I did not spend $261,964.68 that was budgeted to me last year. And this all started in July of last year when you guys first announced that we had these budget problems and you needed help from the elected officials. So that's another $261,000 plus. The budget cuts 2025. I cut $88,400 out of the general fund budget for this year. Now, it ended up being about $68,000 because of the increment raises that were given, but that's another $68,000 that I cut from the general fund budget going into this year. Now, if you look at this year's budget so far, I have already saved year to date by cutting back expenses and then by not having people and things like that. Already saved $267,000. And by not approving or by not asking to fill those 3 spots that I'm voluntarily cutting from the budget, that's another $191,000 for the rest of the year.
just in 2025. And it's actually going to be, it'll be more than that because it would take me, it takes me a long time to hire people. So it's actually probably going to be closer to 200,000 plus by the time we get people hired. But that's another savings, estimated savings of $458,000 from this year's budget. This year's approved budget. That's almost another $500,000. So if you look at that section, the big picture of savings, the amount of money and the cuts that the sheriff's office has done since July of 2024, so just 11 months ago, when you guys first asked us to do what we could do, it totals $1,007,507.72. That's how much I've cut or gave back to the county. Now, the lit budget did increase by about $154,000 because we shifted some of the burden from the general fund to lit to achieve that. But even if you take into account, that means that I have cut and or saved in the last 11 months $853,145.72. That's almost 14% of the yearly total budget that I have saved and gave back just in the last 11 months, and going forward what I'm promising that I'll do and cut out of the budget next year. And I have a whole other section about other savings to the county that I didn't even figure into that goes into the almost $20,000 a year in tax warrant money that I give up and put back in the general fund instead of taking it for salary that is due me through the law. By not having my, removing my wife from the county offered insurance, even though it clearly says in the handbook that elected officials are exempt from it. I'm still, because employees are doing it, I am removing my wife from it. That's going to save the county another $10,446. And that comes at a personal cost to me, just like the salary thing does. I spent $261,000, almost $262,000 of self-generated commissary money that the county didn't have to fund. Just day-to-day operations of the department. You know, once the state catches up to their payments, we bring in about $300,000 a year for housing DOC inmates. They haven't paid us since August, but that should get caught up in July when the new money comes out for the state. I've talked about this before, but I worked with the State Board of Accounts, the Auditor's Office, County Attorney, Commissioners, you guys to pass ordinances and set up budgets and funds for funds that were just sitting there not used, the equivalent of about $200,000 that now we can use for things. And all of that $800 and some thousand I've saved, plus all of this other, I've never came and asked for an additional cent from the council out of the general fund. The only extra money that we have asked for is from CoonCat to pay for the videos and the things that our insurance companies basically said you have to do if you want to have insurance. Not a single penny have I asked for on top of all that savings. So I feel like it's easy to kick us because we have such a big budget, but I feel like it's hard to dispute the sacrifice and the conservative values that I have demonstrated since being sheriff, while still achieving the things that I said that we were going to do. So that kind of takes care of that. And now that last page, I'm not going to bore you with it, but you know, I've provided this for you all before and some other things, but you know, the total amount that I run the sheriff's department on for non-personnel, like every single aspect of the department, is $1.3 million. That is it for non-personnel, and only $388,000 of that comes out of general fund. Everything else are out of these other funds. So $388,000 out of general fund that's not personnel. We do a phenomenal job of running that place on very little money in the grand scheme of things. And of that $1.3 million, prisoner meals are $215,000. I can't not feed inmates. Jail medical and mental health services, that's another $400,000. We have to have that. Utilities is almost $200,000. Building maintenance, as you know, that building has all kinds of problems, but we have survived for 3 years now with just $50,000 a year on that. Fleet is about $300,000 a year, and that's just two new cars a year, and then fuel and routine maintenance, and then other expenses is only, you know, training and all that stuff. So we run the sheriff's department very fiscally sound, and really with very little money in the grand scheme of things. So I'm asking, 14%, basically 14% of my yearly budget I've saved in 11 months to help out the county. So I'm just asking that in addition to showing that I have been more than fiscally responsible, and then how we're working with such antiquated manpower right now with all of the new, with our current calls and things like that. And I get it, you guys aren't there every day, you don't see the nature of the calls, you don't see what we're dealing with every day, but
Well, you read the police law.
yeah, but I agree, that gives you kind of an idea, but it's just hard to fathom. Like today, we had 3 people working the road, and then myself, the major, the chief deputy, we were all out on calls as well, and they were all like, they weren't the kind of call, they weren't like VIN checks, or they weren't calls that we could put off. They were calls that were serious calls that needed immediate police matter, and that's just the way it is every day, and it scares me to know that we are asking 2 deputies to cover shifts sometimes. It scares me for you guys, it scares me for the public, and it certainly scares me for my officers, because my officer spouses want their husband or wives to come home at the end of the night. So I'm just asking that not only keep in mind the numbers I'm giving you, but also the budget and how much I have saved. Even if you fulfill the 2 merit spots and the 3 jail officer spots I hit, we're talking almost $1 million I've saved in 11 months. If that's not doing my part, I don't know what else you guys could possibly want out of myself and the sheriff's department. So.
Everything you've said is impressive, very impressive, and I want to say thank you. We have less population today, we have the same amount of road miles today, and we have less in the jail, and so I try to get that fixed. I know the seriousness of calls is changed from what it was 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But our population is less.
But our calls for service are going up 10 to 15% every year.
I think people are much more comfortable calling the jail now for more frivolous things. Don't you think you get some frivolous calls?
Well, there's no doubt some of our calls are frivolous, but we also can't just
Oh, I know.
ignore them, because for those people, they're not frivolous. And it still doesn't take into account, the amount of mental health psych calls that we go on that are extremely dangerous, the amount of domestic violence calls, which all studies will tell you is one of the most dangerous calls we go to, because you go there to mediate a dispute, and then the other party who called you, they realize, oh, I love my man, and then they attack you, or whatever the case may be. So it's just, I get what you're saying. We may have less people, but the calls for service just keep going up and up, and people demand more and more. And as far as the jail goes, yes, we have less people, but even the jail inspector today said, when's the last time you did a staffing study? I said, well, last time I was in here was 2019. And he said, he said, how were you then? And I said, we were below what they said we should be. And he said, you've not done one since then? I said, no. He goes, well, for liability issues or reasons, I would probably do that, because it's not based on how many inmates we have, it's all the area we have to cover over there, the responsibilities we have to do, and all those things. So there's just so many things that go into it. So I get what you're saying. Jail numbers are down right now. That's an ever fluctuating thing, we know that. Calls for service are up, population may be down, but our work is continuing to go up, and it's getting more and more dangerous. And my goodness, look at how much other departments are paying people, and I get it, we can't compete with some of that stuff, but we sure in the world shouldn't be asking our officers to work for less but do more, and also risk your life a little more, because we don't want to give officers, hire officers. So that's my spiel.
Do you have some idea that you can give us on what this has cost us in overtime and PTO and additional days off because you're having to work?
Yeah, so, I can't give you the exact number on overtime, because I didn't look at that. We have maintained, last year we stayed within our overtime budget for the entire year, and our overtime budget isn't huge. And we've been doing a pretty good job this year, but a lot of that has to do with, I don't make overtime, my chief doesn't make overtime. And so, we try to do that stuff. And I'm not gonna lie, PTO time, it works for most of the county employees and offices. PTO time is not super great for the sheriff's department as far as manpower, because, you know, it's probably easier to manage sick time and things like that as it is to just say you've got 20-some days you can take off, you know, for the year. And so, you know, we don't work Monday through Friday. We're trying to cover 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And so, yeah, our overtime costs are going up, but we work really, really hard that's why we're running some two-man shifts, you know, two officer shifts, and that's why we're trying to cover as much as we do, because again, it goes back to trying to be fiscally sound, that, you know, sometimes I feel like I'm killing myself to save the county money that we don't always get credit for when we want to hire people, but, you know, it's what we do. I know this is beside the point, I guess, but in 2023, my first year in office, I worked the equivalent of 364 and a half 8-hour days. Last year, I worked the equivalent of 339 8-hour days. So what, that's 26 days off for the year, basically. And, you know, so I feel like I'm busting my rear end out there to try to save things like overtime and things like that, so.
Then basically, you're saying your employee line, from what you requested in a budget in 2025 to what you're going to request in 2026, you're going to go down this $219,000.
If you count the salary and the benefits. Now, I don't think the benefits themselves are they're not in my budget line. They would be in the commissioner's budget line. But between salary and benefits, yes, it's going to go down $219,000 plus.
I mean, I think that's a good commitment when we're supposedly trying to find 1.8 million. And we can find it 200,000 at a time. I think that speaks volumes. Because we aren't having that luck with a lot of departments. There's just very few places we can find it, and you know that.
Yeah, no, I understand.
You know your budget's.
In reality, we're up to, you know, just our department's close to $1 million in the last 11 months that we've, so.
Well, I got one question for you, and I asked you in there last time when we were going through them, and then I got a question for Katie. But when we went through and done that, it's even per your sheet, if permission is given to hire at least one merit deputy, then the dispatchers and the jailers come in separately.
Then what?
Because I was a little shocked when it was in the commission.
If permission's given one what?
Well, if you read on through this, we ended up giving you, we didn't do the 2 merits.
Yeah, so Chief Deputy Blackwell told me that, and I think, and I'm not here to argue or whatever, but I feel like, based on everybody I've talked to, I feel like Amy, Ms. Redmond, understood what was being said and asked there. You know, I clearly asked for 2 merit deputies last go-around. And what you're saying is, if permission is given to hire at least 1 merit deputy, then we have a second dispatch opening. So in other words, I asked for 2 merit deputies. And then, if you would have said 0, then I wouldn't have had to ask for dispatch. But since you approved at least one.
That was my question, because in the commissioners.
I didn't ask.
I didn't that statement of, we give you 1 merit deputy, we give you 2 jailers, and we give you 2 dispatchers. We give you 5 hires. And that's just something that's bothered me ever since that. But then hold that thought, because not your question. This come in last time. Correct me if I'm wrong. But this come in, they requested 2 hires, merit deputies. It was voted down. It's back in the same form. Robert's Rule of Order, doesn't that have to change forms?
I mean, if he's renewing his request, I mean, if there's additional or is it?
I thought if that was voted down, that had to change
I mean, I've not seen
form.
the form, I don't get the forms and how it's committed or whatever, but I mean, if he's renewed his request, I mean, if there's been a change in circumstance, he can renew it.
On the same, I was thinking that it had to change forms, or it had, maybe I'm wrong. Amy?
I think it can come back at the next meeting, because this,
I thought if it was voted down, it had to change form.
it just, believe it just cannot come back up in the same form in the same meeting.
So, is what you're saying is he requested 2 merit deputies the last time and it was voted down, correct? And then to this meeting, he submitted the same form to request the 2 merit deputies. So what he's telling you today is what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, that he felt there was a miscommunication, he's provided you with additional information, and that there's been a change in circumstance due to safety issues, other things like that. He can bring it again if there's been a change in circumstance. If there's been absolutely no change, and it's just because he doesn't like the word no, then you are correct. If there's been a change in between those 2 meetings, he can bring back again and ask.
Says according to Robert's Rule of Order, a person can generally make the same request or motion in the next meeting, even if it was previously defeated. This process is known as renewing the motion. There's some conditions, but renewing as new business, if the motion was defeated in the prior meeting, or reconsideration.
So it can be done.
$25 credit. Just as good.
Okay, there was something there, but I wasn't sure what it was.
I will make a motion to approve the hiring of 2 merit deputies.
Amy has made the motion to hire 2 merits. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Phil, second. Any questions? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you.
2 merits. Okay.
Anything on the jail? Any motion on the jail?
I would make a motion to hire 3 jail officers.
Okay, we have a motion on the table to hire 3 jail officers. Do I have a second?
A second.
Phil, second. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
This is still reducing what you said.
This, approving this still means I'm reducing the transport spot, I'm still reducing 1 jail spot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And I do have a question. So we did, the last time we did, we hired 2 and 2, right? 1 deputy and then 2.
We hired
2
1
jailers?
2 jailers, 2
and
dispatchers.
You approved 2 jail
dispatchers.
spots. 2 dispatch, yes.
Okay. We have a motion on the table. Second? Anybody second?
Phil Harden.
Phil. Any questions? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Okay, last and final. Tim Sled is not going to be here tonight. He's out of town, and we have the court orders, which is always lovely. Okay. Judge Nykerk, Superior Court Judge Plummer, and Klein. Grand total on those court orders is $1,195.44. And those don't require a motion. So I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second, favor?
Have to.
We're adjourned.
But it was still over a little bit.